anytime there needs to be some clarity without any ambiguity, like in a court of law, you can't use an alias. And you have to be very clear. So in establishing the rule, for example, of adopted children, Allah mentions Zayd ibn Harith, mentions Zayd by name. This is also why Maryam is mentioned by name in the Quran, right? There's no woman mentioned by name in the entire Quran except for one, that's the Virgin Mary. And yes, it's a sharaf for her, it's an honor, but it was also to exonerate her because of the blasphemy which was cast against her. So then, in order to exonerate her, like in a legal way, there was no alias. She was mentioned by name very explicitly. There's no beating around the bush when it comes to now establishing someone's innocence or someone's guilt for that matter, and when establishing law. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he also is not mentioned by name in the Quran, but he is alluded to many times. Many times in the Quran, verses are revealed about him, verses are referring to his actions, and this is one of them. The second of the two, when they're in the cave, إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا, when he said to his friend, don't worry, Allah is with us. This was the Prophet speaking to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala captures that very intimate and private interaction which took place between only the two of them and Allah. And he made it known to all of the believers until the day of judgment. And again, as an honor for what kind of friend Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was there with him. He wasn't complaining. He wasn't now second guessing himself that why did I come and support this man? Maybe I should have just like called it a day. My family would be safe. I'd be at home relaxing. Maybe we shouldn't have done all this. When it came to now supporting the Prophet ﷺ and upholding the deen, there was no second guessing. And he was actually worried that now they would be captured and the Prophet ﷺ would lose his life. And then there would be no more Islam and there would be no more establishing the revelation. That was his concern. His concern was his wasn't even his own self. And this is very different from another story which mentions Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, which we hear often, and I'm sure I've mentioned before, was Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam when he was with Bani Israel. When they were trapped and they were about to be captured, what did the Bani Israel say? Inna lamudrakun. So they started complaining, we're done, we're finished. They weren't worried about their prophet. They weren't worried about, now upholding the deen. They were just, even themselves were only leaving because they thought this was their only way to have safety and have a better life. So like, okay, let's go with Musa. He's trying to liberate us, right? What is it? They went on an exodus or trying to liberate them. So they were hopeful. Even their leaving was for some kind of self-benefit. So when they were captured, they started second guessing themselves. Maybe we shouldn't have went. Here we're gonna die in the middle of nowhere, away from family. No one's gonna even know where our graves are. No one's gonna visit us. At least if we stayed in Egypt and we were subjugated as slaves, we would have died there. We were with family, and someone would pray our janazah and things like this. At least we could have had like a regular death. Such a very low way of thinking of how to live and how to die. So they said, "Inna lamudrakun," we're captured, we're finished, and they were saying it in a way where they're kind of complaining. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam says, "What kalla? Inna ma'iya rabbi sayahdin." No, my Lord is with me. He didn't say with us. The Prophet said, "Inna Allah ma'ana." When he was speaking to Abu Bakr Siddiq, he said, Allah is with us. Because Abu Bakr Siddiq was there to uphold the deen. He was there not for himself, so he had the help of Allah. But when Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam was there trying to now save his people, it was only him and Allah. They were just along for the ride. Because they weren't necessarily in it for the deen or to protect their prophet. They were just trying to, maybe get a better life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he revealed to Musa alayhi salam, don't fear. Don't have any worries. Inna Allah ma'ana. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no, don't fear. Kalla inna ma'iya rabbi. He said, indeed, my Lord is with me, not with us. So this is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq making the hijrah, which then establishes and gives life to the deen once they settle in Medina Munawwara. And this is one of those just divine wisdoms of where things outwardly go really wrong. You're almost going to be assassinated. Everyone's driven out of their home, but that's where Medina Munawwara is established. That's where the place of deen becomes established. And Allah, as they say, the rest is history. This is mentioned in Surah At-Tawbah. the story of that. And Surah At-Tawbah, it's the only surah in the Quran which begins without Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. A lot of people wonder why. Scholars have provided some insights as potential wisdoms why. But one of the most, mashallah, prudent reasons is simply because Allah didn't say it. That's why. There's no Bismillah there because Allah didn't say it. So even if if someone were to ask why, the Prophet ﷺ, why didn't you say Bismillah here? Why is it before every surah? It's because Allah didn't tell me to do it. So it's a clear way of establishing that the deen isn't just based on what we think it should be. And every now and then, sometimes you will be thrown a curveball also, and things will kind of be mixed up to show that it's not about just doing things like in a way which is the most rational all the time. It's actually to do it because Allah said so. And sometimes things will seem irrational, right? Our deen is very rational. There's no doubt about it. We have the most beautiful tradition which reconciles between aql and naql, between rationale and revelation, reason and revelation. There's a beautiful harmony that